Welcome to another episode of Marketing Tips for Doctors. I'm your host, Dr. Barbara Hales. Today, we have with us a real treat. Today will be a very fun conversation with some gems for your business that you don't want to miss. Jonathan Sprinkles is the founder of the Connection Lab. He is a 14-time author, including 2 international bestsellers. People call him the Connection Coach because he coaches celebrities, professional athletes, and top business performers on how to use the power of human connection to build powerful brands and close more deals. Welcome to the show, Jonathan.
Hey, Barbara, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's really my delight. Uh, you know, in the start of the pandemic, which, if you can believe it, is like more than a year ago,
You mean 7 years ago?
you started by showing us all how to get the best out of Zoom or a virtual call, which was excellent. With you, we learned how to do things that we did not even know Zoom was capable of doing, like whiteboard and breakout rooms and all sorts of things that the average person would have no idea other than just going on and talking. Um, it really came in handy over the year. And in addition to that, for people that felt creating webinars was a little bit overwhelming, you taught us that it doesn't need to be. And because of that, I was no longer worried about how I would make my slide decks. So tell us a little bit about your program that you had there. And is that something that you still do?
Sure. So the program is called the Master Virtual Presenter Certification Program. And right now, I am the only person who is offering that Master Virtual Presenter Certification. The reason why this is different than some of the other programs that you can find on just quote public speaking skills is because I bring in the ever important component of emotional connection. One of the biggest objections that people have to web-based conversations is that there's a lack of emotional connection, or there's a lack of connection between people that is normally present when you're staring at someone across the table or in a classroom. And people always tell me, well, on Zoom, it's so hard to really engage people. I said, well, not for mine and not for my students. There's a lot of different things that you can do. And I'm sure we'll talk about some of them to create that ever important emotional connection. So let's be honest, is it exactly the same? No, but are you able to still do what you need to do, meaning get your point across, be able to serve people and have people actually energized and feel good about the conversation? Absolutely. I've cracked the code, we figured it out. And this is an example.
That's great. Well, people that were asked in a study, what is it that you missed most, or what would you have liked to have during this past year? And almost everyone said, the thing that I would like most is just being able to hug or connect with, like friends and family. The thing that we miss most or crave most is just that human connection. Now, I understand that you have taken the time to create a program or a book that's coming out, haven't you, called Reconnect, which is so appropriate for this time. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, thank you so much. My heart is overjoyed because it's the first book that I've written in a long time, and it happens to be my 14th book overall. The reason why Reconnect means so much to me is because I wrote it during the pandemic. It came from a time of struggle. It came from that time when business was going crazy because a lot of my business at the time was face to face. So within the first 5 days of the pandemic, I lost 5 figures worth of business, and it was a struggle. It really was. It was a challenge. It was a challenge because everything that we knew was not the same. And it caused us to have to go into places that we weren't expecting to. When we can't be with our friends, our family, our neighbors, we can't even, we don't even know if we can be around people, not even just go be with, I mean, if we could even be around any person at all, because that person could be someone who can make us sick. So the thing that we need most, to your point about the statistic, people wanting connection, that was the thing that was taken away from us. And that's the thing that makes human beings human. The fact that we're able to connect on some level, whether it's because we both love the same team, we're from the same hometown, or we have the same profession, something makes us say, I like you because you're just like me. Well, when you take that out, it's a big struggle. And then of course, all the other things that were happening with politics and the violence and the issues going on within our country. There's just a lot of things that continue to just beat us down one after another. And so eventually I started to do things that I had never done. Things like taking time to actually just stop and breathe and be more mindful. Take time to write down how I feel. Take time to look at what moments in the day I had very high energy and moments in the day in which my energy was drained. And then I started to realize that there were some patterns, Barbara. There were some patterns around what I felt and the things that were going on. And when I could fix that, I could change the pattern, then I could change the outcome. So eventually, even though things weren't always better on the outside, I started to feel better. I could get through it a lot more quickly. I had more strength, more grace, more focus, more clarity through it all, and it felt fantastic. And as a result, I put together that book Reconnect as a gift from my struggle and pain to the people who want a turnaround in their life. And that doesn't have to just be pandemic related. It could be that you want to go to a higher level in your job, you want to get to a higher level in your relationship or lose weight, whatever it is. The one thing that's common among all of it, Barbara, is that regardless of what area of your life is, the common point in all of it is you. You take you everywhere you go. And when you want to go to a higher level, you can start with this reconnect journey.
Well, Jonathan, you're so correct because so many of us are rushing around from one thing to the next and crossing off our to-do list to go on to the next to-do list. And we are seeing patients or clients, and we are just going from one thing to the next until at the end of the day, we just are
Mhm.
decompensating and that's it. We don't really stop to think about what we need as people. We don't stop to breathe. We don't stop to say, well, who are we? Like outside of work. And, like, what is it that we can do to be better human beings, to be more inspired? What is it that we, would want to do outside of the daily responsibilities that we have? So for many, it really was an opportunity to just have introspection and see like who it is that we are, since we were not capable of running around the way we had in the past. It was sort of like the divine intervention to say, you know what, everything is on pause now. You need to figure these things out, things that you may have been ignoring and rushing around without thinking about for the last however many years.
Yeah, that was the toughest part, really. We had to sit with ourselves. We had to sit with a lot of things that you were too busy to look at and actually do something about. That stack of papers or certain things around the house or certain even aspects of our body that we said that we were going to get better at, things that we were going to take care of that we just were too busy to do.
That's
And
true.
over that time period, we had to just stop and take a good, hard look in the mirror. And I'd say for the first few months, that had to be one of the toughest parts because we realized how many folders were yet undone, How many folders did we have open in our lives that could have been that could have made our lives a whole lot better and more meaningful? One of the things I know to be true is that when we have a lot of stuff and a lot of things on our agenda, it makes it very easy to ignore ourselves, especially if you're a parent or a provider of some type of health or hope for other people. You spend your life investing in others, but who cares for the caregivers? Who feeds the one who is feeding others? And that's the toughest part there. That's the toughest part, because then when you look at yourself, now you have to figure out how to pour back into yourself. But this is what I discovered through my journey, Barbara. The more you have, the more you have to give.
That is really profound. I love that saying. Doctors who had not been pivoted yet to, digital care, and they didn't have a way for their patients to be treated or to consult with them online, really were hurting because they couldn't see their patients in the office. And the number of patients that they were able to see really plummeted. A lot of doctors were really in jeopardy of bankruptcy overnight, but it enabled them to pivot
Mhm.
to telehealth, so that it's a new type of care, but maybe something that they could have been doing over the last few years. And now it was, like do or die.
Mhm.
And the thing is, as we come out of the pandemic, telehealth is really here to stay.
Absolutely.
It will be not only convenient for patients, but think of the people who are in rural areas where the medical care is 500 miles away, or people who have the need for chronic care that are bedridden, or the caregivers that really don't have the opportunity to be in constant communication with the health caregiver. These are all great benefits that the health community has been able to pivot to.
Mhm.
And this really just filters down to everyone.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the number one objection that people would have in going to the doctor, other than what you're being treated for and whether it was going to possibly hurt or something like that, the number one objection people had was, if I'm late, I'm going to miss the appointment. But the doctor could be 2 hours late and I have to sit there and my whole day is blown. Well, now all of that is taken away because the drive time, the wait, and all of those things have been removed. So it actually allows the doctors to get back to the thing that they love most, which is being able to care for people. And you can do that in a way that is not geographically locked. I know a lot of people, a lot of my clients who have done very well because now they're no longer just serving people who live in their city. You could literally serve someone across the world at this point. And so it's opened up for those who understand how to view their business differently and how to get the word out that they're open for business in this way. It has opened up a whole new level of opportunity for them. And I believe that everybody wins because of it.
This is especially why I love the title of your book, Reconnect, because that's really what we are all striving to do. And when is your book coming out?
You know what? Literally, they could be knocking on my door at any moment. Like that would just be the perfect ending to this interview. If they knocked on the door and delivered it. It's on the way right now, so it is available technically in pre-order right now. But at any point in time, it will be here, and I'm going to sign each one of the first ones that are in. I'm going to sign them, personalize it, put the date on it, and I'll be shipping them out personally.
Will you have a program that is associated with it?
So yes, this is really cool, and this is something else that I've never done before. So the book is an 8-week journey, and we talk about different concepts every single week. But watch this: I ask the same questions even with different concepts. What that does is it allows the brain to start thinking in advance and developing a new muscle. It's a term from psychology, from the field of psychology, that allows people to mesh their situations with the learning that they need so that they actually learn faster. So this is the cool thing. But what I've done is for those people who want to have a more intimate experience and people who kind of like me, and I know you're like this as well, it's better when you have a coach or you have someone there with you because then you're not doing it alone. You have more accountability. You feel like you have a friend along with you. I did a program in which you can have a video version of me walking you through each week. And so that I'm extremely excited about because I've never done that before. So for the each of the 8 weeks of the journey, I'm there coaching you along. I'm helping you, and I'm helping you to see some things that you may not have seen and bring up some additional references that are not included in the book.
So you're sitting on my shoulder, forcing me to not ignore the assignment.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, there's something called the spotlight effect. And we know that people perform better when they know they're being watched. Well, when you know that you're getting that email, when you know that you have somebody who's there knocking on your digital door saying, hey, let's do this, you show up differently.
Absolutely. Now, for people who say, this guy's got so much to offer, I need to get in touch and see what his programs are. How can they reach you?
Sure. Well, there's two very easy ways. The first way is on my website. My name is Jonathan Sprinkles. My website is J, that's just letter J, Sprinkles, SPRINKLES.com. If you just put your name in the email box, I will start sending you motivational content about connection and how to use the power of connection in your business and in your life. And I'm also doing special offers for people who are on my list. I call them my tribe for the book and the coaching and all of that good stuff. The other one is a lot more practical. If you're already on LinkedIn, you can find me there. Just type in my name, Jonathan Sprinkles, and I come right up and I respond to as many of the direct messages and the friend requests as I possibly can personally so that I can connect with you. We can begin the relationship and I can figure out how I can serve you.
Well, who couldn't use that? So, for those people that have to be like the first ones to get your book with your signature, how do they pre-order?
Yeah, so you could just go through the website, go to jsprinkles.com. You're going to be able to get it there, and you can also get on the list. There are some links in the emails that I'm sending out that will tell you exactly where to go in order to get it. And this is really going to be exciting. I cannot wait. Cannot wait. This is after 20 years in business. I can firmly say that this is my best and most important work that I've ever done because this is really going to change people's lives in ways that I've never had access to before.
Wow, that's really deep. So, what final tip or inspiration can you tell our listeners out there?
Well, Barbara, I love what you said before. People are having to pivot. And this is the thing that has been fresh on my mind for a while. Where you pivot is where you prosper. And what that means is not just opening up new lines of business, but pivoting from being transactional to being a connectologist. Be a person who pivots toward people, not pivots toward the projects. The projects will always be there. The work will always need to be done. But when you pivot toward people, everything else tends to work itself out. Everything else happens faster. You pivot toward your staff, they get the projects done faster. When
Mhm.
you pivot toward your patients, the interactions, the engagements, and this is also important, your reviews will also be better so that they know that you are someone who actually has their best interests at heart. That's what people are looking for. And over the last year, year and a half, what we've discovered is that the big brands that are all about money and moving
Mhm.
more numbers, all of those things have gone away in terms of people's interests. And what people want now is to be seen, heard, felt, and understood. People really want that. And the more that you can just ask yourself this one question, what do they need right now? If you
A
can
digital
pivot,
hug.
yes, yes, yes. If you can pivot toward people and think like a connectologist and just start thinking about what do they need right now, everything in your life is going to get better, and it's going to get better very fast. No problem. This is what we mean. This is what I mean when we say, points are powerful, but it's connection. That's the key.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today. I really enjoyed this episode. This has been another episode of Marketing Tips for Doctors with your host, Dr. Barbara Hales, speaking with Jonathan Sprinkles. Thank you so much. Till
Thank you,
next
Barbara.
time.
Thank you so much.